In international relations, perception often rivals reality. What the world believes can sometimes be just as powerful as the facts themselves, especially when it comes to the delicate balance of global partnerships. Recently, a significant shift in U.S. policy brought this idea into sharp focus. The United States imposed a steep 25% tariff on a range of Indian goods, a move widely interpreted as a response to India's continued purchases of Russian oil despite Western sanctions. This decision sent shockwaves through diplomatic and economic circles, raising questions about the future of U.S.-India trade. Almost immediately, rumors began swirling that India was considering halting a massive $3.6 billion defense deal with the U.S. The speculation was fueled by headlines and social media chatter, suggesting that economic tensions were spilling over into the critical defense sector. The deal in question involved the transfer of advanced military assets, including state-of-the-art aircraft and cutting-edge defense technology. For both nations, this agreement represented not just a business transaction, but a strategic partnership aimed at strengthening security ties in a volatile region. The plausibility of the deal's suspension grew when India's defense minister abruptly canceled a planned visit to Washington. The cancellation, coming at such a sensitive time, was interpreted by many as a sign of deepening mistrust and frustration. This sequence of events suggested a potential fracture in the U.S.-India relationship, sending alarm bells ringing not just in New Delhi and Washington, but across global capitals. The world watched closely, aware that a rift between these two major democracies could have far-reaching consequences. The incident highlighted how deeply trade and defense are intertwined in the complex web of geopolitics. A disagreement in one area can quickly escalate, threatening cooperation in another, and potentially altering the balance of power in the region. Whether the rumor was true or not, it exposed the vulnerabilities and sensitivities within the U.S.-India partnership. It showed just how fragile trust can be, and how quickly it can be tested by external pressures and internal politics. The episode demonstrated that disputes in one domain, such as trade, can have a domino effect, threatening progress in other critical areas like defense, technology, and diplomacy. As the world watched, both allies and adversaries began to question the resilience of the U.S.-India alliance, wondering whether it could withstand the pressures of a rapidly changing global landscape. Both Washington and New Delhi quickly denied the defense deal suspension rumors. Official statements labeled the claims as false, projecting stability. Yet, doubts lingered as the rumor seemed plausible. The sequence of events, tariff followed by defense freeze, fit a logical pattern. This incident left a crack in the partnership's facade, highlighting trust issues. In today's world, verbal assurances carry less weight. Regional partners are wary, seeking subtext beneath official statements. The incident created strategic ambiguity, confusing partners. The uncertainty complicated strategic calculations for Indo-Pacific nations. When the United States sends mixed signals to its partners and adversaries, the consequences can ripple far beyond Washington. Ambiguity in foreign policy, whether intentional or accidental, often leaves allies uncertain about America's true intentions and commitments. In the Indo-Pacific, where strategic competition is fierce, even subtle shifts in U.S. messaging can impact the entire geopolitical landscape, influencing how countries position themselves. The recent confusion surrounding the U.S.-India defense deal was more than just a diplomatic hiccup. It sent a wave of uncertainty throughout the region, making other nations question the reliability of U.S. commitments. For key allies like Japan and Australia, the way the U.S. manages its relationship with India is seen as a litmus test for American resolve and consistency in the region. If India's strategic partnership with the U.S. can be shaken by trade disputes or unclear policies, it raises concerns for other allies who depend on American support for their own security and economic interests. This uncertainty doesn't just affect diplomatic relations, it also disrupts the defense industry, causing delays in supply chains and halting critical projects that depend on stable international cooperation. When messaging from Washington is unclear, trust, the most valuable currency in international relations, begins to erode, making it harder to build lasting partnerships. As a result, allies may start to hedge their bets, diversifying their partnerships and seeking out new security arrangements with other powers they perceive as more reliable. Over time, this erosion of trust can unravel long-standing alliances, weaken collective security, and ultimately threaten the stability of entire regions, making the world a more unpredictable place. Verbal reassurances are no longer sufficient in the Indo-Pacific. Partners demand clear, legally binding commitments for predictability, They seek concrete plans and timelines insulated from political disputes. Written agreements provide continuity beyond political cycles. Lack of clear frameworks creates anxiety and speculation. Allies second-guess U.S. intentions, hindering cooperation. Clear written roadmaps for defense and trade can stabilize alliances. The message is simple: show us the plan, don't just tell us about it. This approach calms anxieties and creates a secure environment. U.S.-India tensions highlight the intertwining of energy, trade, and defense. U.S. tariffs linked to India's Russian oil purchases show energy's geopolitical role. India's energy needs clash with its desire for U.S. military technology. Tariffs can provoke domestic backlash in India, complicating politics. These policies can have unintended economic consequences for the U.S. A coherent Indo-Pacific strategy requires acknowledging these interdependencies. Trade, energy, and defense cannot be treated as separate silos. A nuanced dialogue balancing U.S. objectives with India's needs is essential. In the Indo-Pacific, where global interests converge and competition is fierce, clarity is absolutely paramount. The region's high-stakes environment is shaped by shifting alliances, economic ambitions, and security concerns that demand transparent communication and decisive action. Without clear intentions and commitments, uncertainty can quickly spiral into instability, threatening both regional peace and global prosperity. Written clarity in agreements is the foundation for building trust among nations. When terms are spelled out and commitments are documented, it reassures all parties and helps stabilize vital supply chains that connect economies across continents. Clear rules, transparent processes, and well-defined timelines encourage long-term investments. They allow businesses and governments to align their strategies, knowing that the framework for cooperation is reliable and predictable. For the United States, providing text-based frameworks for both trade and defense is not just a diplomatic formality, it's a strategic imperative. These documents serve as anchors in a sea of uncertainty, guiding partners and deterring adversaries. By formalizing commitments, the U.S. helps stabilize alliances, making them more resilient to unrelated political or economic frictions that might otherwise undermine cooperation. Predictability is a powerful asset. When allies can count on clear agreements and consistent timelines, they gain the confidence to plan for the long term, invest in joint projects, and deepen their strategic ties. But when written clarity is delayed or absent, trust erodes. Nations may feel compelled to hedge their bets, diversify relationships, or even seek new partners, which can shift the balance of power in unpredictable ways. To secure its influence and ensure regional stability, the U.S. must commit its plans to paper. Formal agreements are more than symbolic, they are the bedrock of lasting partnerships. In today's rapidly evolving Indo-Pacific, clear and official timelines are not just helpful, they are an urgent strategic necessity for all who seek peace and prosperity in the region.